Hello everyone, it's Michael Mechanical here today, and today I want to make a bit of an update at the same time. I think it's about time we start making the videos we were pretending to make, because I don't think I'm going to be able to make one video just because it's going to be extremely hard and the hugest challenge I am not really ready to make. So at the moment I just want to update you guys on the environment. I have parts here, stuff that was getting organised, have parts there, stuff that needs to be organised for the engine, for the the build, putting it back together again on this engine. For this video I will pause it and then clean up, and then I'll share what we've got and some details and stuff. Also the white Pajero is in because we have to make adjustments to the suspension. The torsion bars need tensioning. That one on the passenger side is correct, the one on the driver's side is incorrect, and I want to get into this a bit of a talk on some things that are going on. And before I can end this video and go to the next thing where I'm edit the video, that you guys can see what we've got and we can talk about the subject on how much things have costed for the car and bits and pieces, and we can verify the car's entire cost or the individual costs of what has costed what in what areas of the car, like brand new parts and stuff. So guys, there is a potential that if you guys need parts, I'll be able to source them. I'll be able to get what you can't get and help you with that. Otherwise, if you want genuine parts, I can source them and I can get them for the Mitsubishi Triton, potentially Pajero. Just name something, I'll see what I can do, organise. So if you guys want stuff, we'll have to work this stuff out. This is going to be the tricky side of things if you want parts for Tritons or Pajeros. I should really get on to the point of this video. Okay guys, Michael Mechanical here, and today is the day where we're going to be discussing the topic on all these parts, this engine, my car, and the value of everything in different topics and categories. And that is why I have a build sheet, so I can provide the evidence necessary to show you what it costs me to get these parts, and then you can get an idea that these things exist. You can still obtain parts. I have the proof in writing in the sense of how much I've paid for them. I have the proof in the physical objects. So let's get into it. So before I go too deep, I want to actually make sure that you guys understand why you might want to buy parts. So for example, I have this timing cover here, and it is old, it is filthy, but it would have been usable had it not been cracked halfway through the middle here. And you can see on the inside, this part here is really badly broken, and getting a new one of these or a second-hand one is extremely expensive. Would you buy a second-hand one? Of course you would. Why would you not buy a second-hand one? The reason you'd buy a second-hand one is because you couldn't source a brand spanking new one of these. So for my evidence, for my proof of purchase, my hands are now getting filthy, thank you. So this is the first thing I want to share before I go too deep, is that you can actually get parts, and I can show you exactly what I've got, what I have sourced in replacing parts that are broken. So if you guys are interested, if you guys are looking for parts, if you want to know roughly what to do, I will make my point. Look for both brand new and second-hand parts, because sometimes newer parts are actually cheaper than going to a wreckers and buying the exact same part. And that's actually one of the cases and points I will make. As long as you know what you're doing, it's all reasonable and good. So in my case and scenario, I will now bring forth a brand new cover. This is actually still brand new in the packaging, genuine OEM number, which says MD050284. It's brand new, it's complete, it's got all the rubbers in there, it's got everything, and it's taped down still. But I want to do this on camera so that you can actually get the physical comparisons, see the huge difference in quality, whatever you want to see about it. I want to make sure you guys know what it is that I have obtained, to make sure that you guys are aware. This is actually interestingly wrapped. This is wrapped in a really interesting way. See if I can get this open. Here we go. Aha, this is how they wrapped it. So I will put this back together in a minute. And I'll also inform you guys of the prices as well. So there's your comparisons. Brand new versus the old. And these parts are still hard to source. Now, The ATDC is exactly the same. Everything about this is almost exactly the same. This one doesn't actually have the part number on it. This one still does. Unless this one is hiding behind all of the stuff, I cannot see a part number on it. The mouldings are exactly the same. It has the same sort of chart down the bottom right for me. I can't exactly show you the flip side easily, but here's the reverse side. This one has a genuine OEM number here. So this is what the part is, whereas this old one does not have that number. It is very filthy, it's very dirty. So there's your proof and pudding. You can buy brand new parts still for the Triton MJ 1995 40 56T engine, and I don't really want to make these things dirty because I want to try. Now because I've got brand new parts and I'm able to get this stuff and whatnot, I actually value my car a little bit more and what I'm doing. And so I do want to take things a little bit slow. It's not perfectly wrapped now, but I've now made my case in point that that's real. Now for that part right there, that was MD050284. I will try to find it. It is the bottom cover. The total cost for that was $92.42, but the price on its own without shipping included was $82.92 for that. That's about $100 per cover. So now that we got that out of the way, I believe the wreckers in some cases will sell them for around 80 bucks, 100 bucks a piece, second-hand, good condition. Now, if you could buy a brand new one and that's the case with the wrecking yards, of course you want to get a brand new one. Why wouldn't you? But I'm not saying that that's actually what they're selling for, because in some cases the wreckers don't even sell those. They sell the complete engine, full, complete, assembled, running. So then they can off-sell it for a little bit more money, because they are worth, diesels are worth a lot more than the petrols. They run in certain circumstances. So I'm not entirely correct and accurate with that, but most of the information I'm providing, in fact, I will just about say all of the information except for that, is true and accurate. There is, now you know that part, what it cost, how much, and then it's aligned with the paperwork. Hey, you said in your video it cost you this much. From day to day, those prices will change and vary when I'm purchasing parts. So I might purchase this, you know, yesterday and it cost me 90 bucks. Tomorrow it might cost me 100 bucks. There is a variation in the market of how that price will fluctuate and change. And if I was to sell it for the rate at which I paid for it onto you for that exact same price, not only am I, one, taking risks, I am, two, you know, losing out. I'm not making anything out of the deal, which if I want to keep doing that, I have to be selling for a small profit at minimum. So you guys might be interested in where I got these parts. The thing is, they're not easy to source. I would not advise you just go looking at the parts, because in some circumstances you're gonna run into a lot of barriers and a lot of issues with trying to find the right parts. You could impulsively buy something thinking, oh yeah, this is the exact right part. I have impulse bought something and I don't know if it's the right part, but the reason I impulse bought it is because I did a lot of homework on that part. I was able to do it fast, effectively, and trying to figure out if it matches to what I have. In terms of exhaust manifold, there is different part numbers. There is no supplies for one, but there's supplies for the other. It does not align to my car, thus I need to do some more digging. You impulse buy without the research, you're going to lose money, because I do not believe they will accept returns without you losing something in exchange. So if it costs you money to return an item, then that will be an issue. So let's get on with what we have on the table here. And the drawer is open because I pulled parts out of the drawers. So I have engine parts on this table, I have suspension parts on this table, I have a head on this table, I have spares on this table, I have a heck of a lot of stuff on this table, and depending on the categories we need to say what things cost. For the engine alone, everything cost $4,000 up to this point, $4,346.79 for pretty much every part that is related to specifically the engine. The engine is included in the cost, there is paint included in the cost, and there is some stuff that's still not been purchased yet. There is still modifications to be done to it, thus why it says Sample. This is not the official build sheet until the project is finished, until these things actually go in the car. It is not official. If I want to say it's official, the engine on its own needs its own build sheet, so I can tell you how much it cost to build the engine. I will need a build sheet for the car on its own to say how much everything on that car has cost. If I want to sell on the parts that I've already bought, like the suspension parts, I need to give you a price, how much I've spent on it, so then I can sell it on for that money and get my money back in exchange. So, with the total investment in my car, let's go on to the next page, to which we'll go and see what the next price cost factor is. The 4056T spares, second-hand replacements, or templates for remanufacturing. Total of $209. The turbo inlet fitting was $50. The coolant outlet fitting was $50. The U-pullet gearbox was $109. What's not included is the fact that the engine was in part of the engine section. The gearbox was not intended as part of the original project. First, we'll go chase down what the engine actually cost. Not everything that was included with the engine, it's just the bottom end assembly of the block, the power steering pump, that spare that came with the block, anything that was not an ancillary of the engine, such as, it does not include the cost of air conditioning, it does not include the cost of an alternator. This is just the bottom end block, missing head, no injector pump. Okay, it seems like the bad news I got to give is I don't believe the price for the engine block, how much I paid for this engine block, is actually in the build sheet for some reason. It's either been accidentally deleted, or the information was never recorded in the first place. Thus, I cannot find a price on the engine block, which was about $250. It was roughly that. It was considered a 6-cylinder. The price was for essentially a 6-cylinder with no heads, but they put that price on this 4-cylinder, and it was about $250, $150. I could be right, could be wrong on that one, so that is something I need to clarify with you guys in another video, or when this project is finished, then we'll have the official figures there and then. Now I know that the engine's missing, I have to chase that up, but there is U-pullet stuff. The rocker cover alloy was $24 for the aluminium rocker cover. But there is still U-pullet parts missing from this sheet. The data is missing. I reckon the price is included in there, but I have to make sure and to calculate at the end of the project how much things cost. I can see the engine block machining and cleaning, to have it decked for accuracy for an MLS, it costs $200. For it to be initially machined, to have it cleaned, and it was not appropriately cleaned. I will not mention the business's name to respect their reputation, to let you have your own experience with them, but I only recommend those who have done a good job. Harman Engines did a good job, $200 decking the block. For the other company that did the initial work and made a few mistakes that caused issues, $300 was the price there. There is no price here for some reason for the engine itself. So let's move on to the Triton MJ front suspension parts that we have currently. Not all of the suspension parts have been bought. The reasoning for that is to have financial security. Thus, if we go in, rebuild it and find something is wrong, we can then buy the parts we need, bring them in, finish the job, put it back together again, and the job is complete. The total cost for that is $749.46 currently. That includes all of the parts from super cheap, potentially including, no, it's not even including the G63418, the G63173s. They are not included in this price, sadly. They were actually very, very cheap on special, about $11 a thing or $7 a thing for shock absorbers. That would include, that'd be inclusive of all of these Protect parts and whatnot. Everyone should know what the price of things are. So, the suspension components, I'm going to start packing them away. Here's one, here's two, here's three, there's two of these, one just fell on the ground. Here's four. There is 5, a ball joint. I believe that is an upper, because the lower ones are the bigger boxes. I'm going to put these away. I actually think the stuff goes at upper section. These are end tie rods. I did not buy outer tie rods. I bought the inners because the outers had already been replaced and should be still in good condition. Oh, look at that, there's a floating grease nickel in there, but this is an inner tie rod. The part number is this for the Triton MJ 1995. I'll take these. I know, that's what happens when you start doing stuff. So these should be the bigger versions of the 4 bolts at the base. This is the bottom, the base ball joint, 4 bolts, and there is 2 of these. Very expensive altogether, these parts. Oh, now I can't get these in the box. I'll get them in the box and then we'll move on. So trying to move along from suspension parts, there is also the extras such as the baffle can, which is actually, the box is still here. This is actually fitted to the Triton MJ currently, that's why it's, you know, here and not out, it's not complete here, because it's just the box and there's nothing in the box. It's on the car currently. It was a faulty kit, it was crap, but I fitted it, it's working, kind of, it's causing issues for the car. I'm losing oil now. Tank windshield washer, which is the tank, the windshield washer itself, which is still in the OEM bag. There's not many of these left at Mitsubishi's. The tank itself was that. I will, before getting rid of this, say that the tank windshield washer pump NWP501 was $16, which is the pump attached to this. The bottle does not come with that seal. It's complete, the cap is attached. Okay, moving along to the next one on the list, I believe was this here. The tank assembly radiator I've lost it already, MB538964, if you can read the number, MB5 something 964, MB38964. I'm reading it wrong. MB538964 was $96.73. It is also mentioning the battery in there, XN70ZZME was $150. That was on, the purchase was done on the 18th of the 12th, 2019 in the car currently, and the date that the battery was fitted is also on it in the car. There is then from the battery the power steering rebuild kit PSK 8410, which was $92. That is for the one that's in the car currently. The leaf spring replacement Dobinson's was $1,098, and that is installed on the car currently. The differential rear plug drain replacement MB569390 was $13.54 on the car currently, as it was replaced due to it not being, it needed to be welded with another nut in order to crack it and pull it out, since it was, apparently someone must have forced it in there really bad that I couldn't remove the bolt, and so we ended up damaging it and breaking it. So now that you know all of the price associated with the car, I want to show off all the awesome engine parts that we do have available, as much of it as we can anyway. But let's also talk about some other aspects. So first of all, here I have a new cam that's on the head currently. I have some spares which I don't need. I have, I think, 2 or 3 more of these, which is from Precision. It's an aftermarket part. Precision. It doesn't actually say. It says R shaft Mitsubishi 4055 or 4055T, 4056T to 4056 onwards, 89 onwards. And there's 2 of these. They sent all of them. I don't know why. They were really desperate to get rid of them. That was ridiculous. I now have them in stock. Not bad. So what I want to talk about is the idea of reproduction parts, aftermarket. So if there is parts that people are interested in obtaining and cannot obtain, hit me up. We'll try and organise a suitable replacement, or a suitable remanufactured replacement in any way, shape or form that we can. If we can compete against prices that are available now and you don't want to wait for a brand new replacement, genuine, we have to work with what you have currently. If it is in no good condition, we'll see what we can organise. It might cost more, it might cost less, and it will vary from case to case on what the cost factor is, the time factor, what is available to be done now. It's not something you can get tomorrow, but it's something that we can try to organise or go with an actual factory replacement if available. There's also a chance that the factory replacement won't be available, thus you'll be spending the money, the product will bounce, and you'll have to wait for a refund, unfortunately, if you go down that path yourself, which is why I am here offering my potential services to everyone. Okay, let's move on. You've already seen the lower timing cover, but have you seen the upper timing cover, which is another part that we've already sourced brand new? It's actually in the Genuine manufacturer's box, MD310420, and this is upper timing cover, which is actually in really, really good shape. This didn't actually come with my engine. I had to source it based on my car and my parts. So this is what it looks like. It looks awesome when it's brand new replacement. It even says so on the part what it is. But you know, this is brand new. It's got the seals in it and everything. You can still buy these things if you know where to source them. Some of these parts are actually surprisingly still in manufacturing. You would actually be surprised. Some of the parts I've ordered, it said waiting for supplier to restock or resupply or reproduce. The production line is still going for some of these parts. That's something that happens if there is a demand for the parts. If the part demand is out and there is no demand for those parts, they will no longer be making those parts, and thus you will not be able to get them. So in some sense, if I can be someone who can afford to buy a bulk load of these parts, they will not destroy their equipment in order to replace it with something else. They'll say, hey, we're still making money on this, so we're going to keep this, we're going to produce another batch, leave it to the side. So if I can buy a batch, they'll make that batch up for me, they'll make up a batch to put on the side just in case someone wants them, because they've made money. And we also have a brand new thermostat. I believe that is for the Triton MJ's water pump, or the current ones. This is a high flow Triton thermostat, which was, they're not cheap, they're expensive for what they are, but if you think about the manufacturing engineering behind them, they are worth their weight in gold. We have also a manual which isn't going to matter right now. I have a timing belt kit. I believe this one's incomplete because I think I bought this just for the timing belt adjusters and stuff. But these are brand new belts, brand new seals, brand new grease. This came from Repco because they had a sale on it. It was really cheap, and it was cheaper than buying the parts on their own, what I wanted / needed, which was the idler pulleys, which you'd get, or the tensioners, should I say. The tensioners was what it was. Sorry, my miscommunication, my misunderstanding. I still have a brand new exhaust gasket available, in the sense that I can fit that to my engine when I'm available to do so. I also have a brand new Permatex seal kit JN403K, which means that I'll be able to completely put my rock cover on the engine when I'm ready and available to do so. I have this hose. Now, you guys might not be able to buy these hoses. You can have them reproduced. Mine cost about $40 to $50 each when I bought them. The reason that I had to have these remade is if these break, if these leak, you'll have an oil leak, one, and here is where they leak tend to, when these are swiveling, they're leaking, here they leak, they crack up, and if they do leak, you'll lose oil pressure, you'll lose oil, it'll make a mess, you'll not know where the thing comes from. $40, $50 will stop that leak at this point if there is a leak. Don't need to replace it unless it breaks. Okay, then we have all of these dowels. Now, no one really needs a dowel. Some of these can suit the head, some of these cannot. I thought I'd just dropped one. No, I didn't. But that's the part number for them, and there is no more available at Mitsubishi. I actually bought them all out, so smarty pants me just did that. So they're not available. I don't actually think these suit the head, the block. No, they're too small for the block, so they're not for that. These dowels are for the back of the motor to the transmission, and you only need 2 of them. I bought a whole heap for no reason. I have no idea why I bought them. It's just one of those funny things that I decided, hey, I'm going to buy them anyway. Still have, oh yeah, extra suspension parts which I didn't show before I packed them away. I apologise. They went walkies apparently. I now get to go into the part where I get to show you this is the most expensive head gasket currently. Now, initially, you'll see this and you'll be like, oh yeah, go look this number up, go look this part up, and it's cheap. It's not very expensive, but I'm going to make my point very clear. Do you see, if you take a look at this one, and then you have a look at the one on the Kiwi Cylinder Heads website, this one is completely different via looks. And the reason that is because this one was rebuilt. This plate here that you can see on top that makes it look so much different, that doesn't seem to align, is actually the spacer plate that was in between the 2 sealing surfaces. So that plate has since been replaced with a thicker one to put this engine in spec, just because of the engineering mistakes behind my specific engine when they stacked up. I also have, ooh, why does this one say MLS? This one's not the, oh yeah, it is an MLS, right, never mind. I have them actually side by side. I can't tell you which one's which, but I can tell you they look different based on what you see here. So this one here would set you back about $100, $110, $120. This one here, I'm going to be honest, cost probably about 5 times the amount this one cost. About $500 just for this gasket, because of the special materials they needed to make sure it's the same sort of quality and make sure it's right, not a cheap ass job done. I also have other head gaskets as well. I have a heap of head gaskets because it's the most common problem I've had with it. So here we go, BBS 130, which is a 1.5mm gasket from the research I've done. I have 2 of those exact ones here, and this is a 1.6mm gasket. They do not go any thicker than this on the market. Now, if you guys have, your engine is out of spec, if you can tell me that your engine is piston protrusion is on average less than or less than entirely 0.974, touch with me. If you're willing to spend $500 and do your engine correctly, rebuild it and make it last, then I can help you get a $500 head gasket like mine, ordered, manufactured, built, put together, that will suit your vehicle. However, I am going to warrant against doing that at this point. I have not tested my $500 one, and if it's going to work or last or anything. I cannot guarantee from no experience whatsoever on how an MLS handles, but you have to machine your deck surface to the correct specification. Your engine alloy head has to be the correct specification. The right RA has to be removed. Otherwise, the sealing surfaces will not fuse, thus you'll have engine problems. If you have contaminants in the system, I will make my point very, 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 very clear. These actually have smaller holes. So you see this little flap here? This is actually fully hollow on the other engine. And I know there's small holes everywhere, but this head gasket actually has smaller holes, MLS. Thus, there is a risk that if you do not clean your engine properly, your whole cooling system properly, that stuff is going to build up in here and cause you to have head gasket issues as the coolant is flowing either over or under. And I believe the coolant comes up. If it clogs up the head gasket, you're going to blow it regardless if it's MLS or not. It will eventually blow. And the only way to prevent that in that case and scenario is potentially putting acids through the system. I don't think it will mess up the MLS head gasket, but it's probably the only way to protect it from destroying itself or being destroyed by the heat not being moved away effectively. Now, that's also just, in theory. In practice, I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but I believe in theory that is absolutely correct. And I like your opinions on whatever I say, and I'd like to hear your reasoning. I have also 2 oil filters. I'm going to stock up on oil filters because I'm sick of when it's Christmas time or something and the shops are closed for weeks and weeks and weeks. You can't buy, your spare parts. I like to have some on hand in case the shops are shut. and I want to service my car or something goes wrong, I can do it myself from home and I have no problems. And if my business is successful, there's potential that I can also service used during that period if I am feeling generous. And I say if I'm feeling generous because what if I'm actually busy or what if I'm having time off? What if I'm not here in Australia? That is going to be the issue there. Moving on to the big, heavy, mean monster, which costs, initially I believe, $800. The cost of this actually costs a lot more than this. So this here is the brand new 4056T head, roller rocker arms and everything. So now let's get a closer look at this because this thing is a bit too hard to carry over the camera. This has, oh gosh, that's not good. It's too hard to spin by hand. That cam needs a little bit more work done to it. I've already talked everything down thinking, oh yeah, this is alright, this will be fine. But I'm going to actually prove that I need to pull this apart one more time. This is not entirely ready to go on the car. It could blow and then she goes. So I got to see if the cam is over here, available like so. We're going to do this on camera together and we're going to put this here. And I should realistically be able to put this on. This isn't fitting. And that goes in that key. I will put the bolt in nice and lightly, but enough to hold the cam onto that keyway that I can now go yoink. Oh, that's a little bit loose still, but here we go. But now that's a little bit tighter, and that is good. And now you can see I can turn this and it works. Now the thing is, we don't really want dust and dirt on it. I don't really want to turn this too much because the valves will come out and I don't really want to push this plastic layer off. This is actually now a fully operational unit, except I'm going to take the cam off one more time because this feels right, this feels good, this feels like it's nothing's going to go wrong, but it could go wrong on either this one, or this one. There's still a tiny bit of contact there, and that could cause a lot of issues. Don't DIY this job, guys, because it's too risky. Get someone with professional experience to do it for you, fitting your head to your car. This is too risky for you to just go off and do it yourselves. I should also note this bolt here I believe is about $10, and I bought a couple of them because I've broken one and sheared, I believe, the bolt off. And I also had one missing. I also had the keyway here shredded on my cam once, except the cam was still good, but all the caps got broken because of a mistake happened when reassembling it. So guys, it is risky work. Don't try anything at home that you're not experienced with already, or if you're doing it, do a professional who have experience before learning to do it on your own. You're going to potentially make some mistakes, cost you money, you don't really want to do that. So I'm also going to go on to a second-hand part that's here. I don't think this was included. This was about $100 to get this part. And this part here is special because it has a 5-bolt pattern, it has 2 passageways, and if I was to get my turbo, which I don't know if it's in front of me, actually it is, the turbo here is to suit it. And this is a water-cooled turbo. It has all the goodies that I need it for. There you go, there's your passage, there's your 3 bolts there, 2 bolts down there, and that's your 2 different passages. There is also potentially another part in here, no it's not. Okay, so those 2 parts go together, they are a pair of parts. Here we have a turbo coolant line out, so this is an outlet line. I believe that's an outlet line, I could be wrong on that actually. Then we have the oil line here. And I need to be showing you these part numbers so you can trace them down yourself. This is the part number for the oil line that goes from your head to your turbo for oil cooling and oiling. Anyway, this is a coolant line pipe TC, and that's your part number. This is a line that goes to the back of the motor. I'm still missing the L bracket that goes here and then up. That if I grab this, this would sit essentially roughly here on the engine as a brand new part. This one here would sit over here, and that is why there is a piece of tape, because this and this are about this close together, and there's a hose that goes between them to connect them. So I'm not sure if this is inlet or outlet. It's on the pressure side, I guess, so it forces a circulation or causes a vacuum from there by pushing fluids that way, potentially. It could be that it pressurizes in here and then pushes out that way. I don't know how it works exactly. It's slightly confusing. I don't quite understand it. We have a brand new water pump here, JMB M39 on that. But it's a cheap water pump. I wonder if I should get a more expensive one. Enduratech water pump. That is what it is. It's not Japanese, it's not brand new, it's an aftermarket part. Then over here, I think this is the Fiesta Resistance for your parts. Okay, that looked bad when I moved it, but I have two of these. I accidentally bought two of them by accident. You can tell the part numbers are exactly the same. You only need one of these. These are your thermostat housings, for which you put your thermostat in. It goes on your water pump. I could actually throw one of these in this box because it would go with the water pump. And I will get this water pump out, and this bolts onto here like so on the water pump. So that's what that's for. So I apologize for not having the water pump ready in the first place. I will put this back in here. You don't need heaps of them to do the job. I'll put this back in here as well, because I have to. I'll edit this video as best as I can. Oh my gosh. Okay, that's back in there now. Leave it alone. Okay, there we go. That's done. That's another job out of the way. So we got two of these. Okay, two of these. This engine block didn't come with a dipstick. So as you can see, the dipstick holder, brand new dipstick itself. There's other dipstick related stuff. This was dipstick related, and I think that was about all that was dipstick related. Yep, that's about it. Okay, so we have the seal for the dipstick holder that goes into the block. This one specifically would go here, like so. It would bolt to also your injection pump assembly section. I plugged up this one because that's the original one for this engine block went, but you can cross-platform compatible. The part number for this one here for an old part number is this part number here. This actually they're all, it's just because the stickers are slightly different, because they still manufacture some of these parts. This is the point I wanted to make, and that's why the newer stickers. You have MF520004 for the seal, but you could probably just about buy any seal and it'll be fine. You have MD173446 for the dipstick itself, which is exactly the same as the one on the current working Triton engine. This is a Pajero engine getting converted to a Triton engine. It'll have a Pajero casting number, but it's now Triton related, and it will all work. We also have a brand new actuator that will go with this engine. Its part number here is MD1889695. It is from Mamba. So if you guys want these, you can either go to Mamba yourself and order them, or if you want, because you're not sure about how to get one safely, I can order the parts and sell them on to you guys for a fee. Yeah, that's a brand new one. The catch-20 with these is, see that hole there? Now, it's exactly the same size hole for a genuine one, but if you get, so let's just say, a Chinese-made turbo, you have to drill it out, which I don't like having to drill it out. So if you can go genuine, go genuine. This is a lot better quality than even a genuine one of these actually is, surprisingly. Unless inside, it is less quality. But this is made in Taiwan, so that makes this a cool part. Because it's not Chinese, it is Taiwanese. We have the blocker valves, but the reason I'm not putting one on my engine, they should be used in some cases, but in my case, no, don't use it. And I will advise people, professionally speaking, use the original valve. Don't put one of these in. This is the original valve. This is the original part number, and it is brand spanking new. You can see it straight out of the box, brand spanking new, and it does actually work. But you already know it works. The thing is, if you want to buy one of these, this one here cost me a lot less than Mitsubishi's Genuine Parts are. Okay? So it is a genuine Mitsubishi part. Mitsubishi do not stock this one anymore. They do stock one to replace this. This one cost me about $90. A genuine one, if you can find one that's compatible with this fitting, and that's one that's exactly the same or near exactly identical to this one, it will cost you $300 for this part. Do you want to pay $300 for this? No. Feel free to contact me if you want one of these, and we'll see if we can get a new one for you for around $100. That's about the mark I'll put it at, because the price could vary and change. There is also MD020239, which is the side plate seal, which is hiding from me. My eyes cannot locate this. Oh, there it is. There's the cover. That's the cover right there. So it's that seal. We have the fuel clamps, and these are still in production. The reason I have one like I do here, and so on and so forth, and then 4 is because here we go. This is another 2 here. So this here would be your old stock stickers to prove that these were old stock, and they were, you know, old, very old. They've been on the shelf for a very long time. Then we have new stock, remanufactured stock. They're identical to these. Okay, they're identical. They're OEM equipment, OEM manufactured. They were actually produced because there was not enough of these available, so I had to wait for them. I have the bolts to suit them. There's 8 bolts. I have the tube relief, oil relief for the turbo, and the reason you want to get an OEM one is because apparently the angles, the hole size and all that matter, and if you don't do it right, it can bake up inside there and can damage your turbo and restrict flow. There is also this brand new injection rail, which is OEM equipment. There's your old sticker, OEM number. Now I do have extra parts that I'm going to be pinching from my dad because I asked for these parts, and I wanted just the gear, but now I want more than just the gear. I want the gear, plus I want these injector lines without these brackets. So I got brand new ones. I will probably take those lines and put them on the new injection pump when it's done. But essentially, I believe we're at the end of this journey where we've looked at all of the parts that I've been able to source. Currently, I can still source more, and we'll be able to talk about this sooner or later. So to end this video off, I've found parts. I spent hundreds of hours and multiple years developing the skills to source these parts, to find parts for not myself only, but also for other people. I've spent money to obtain these parts, and I have spent enormous amounts of stress trying to overcome these financial obstacles. I've spent years driving on the roads and having problems occur time after time, having to wait to obtain parts that if I didn't have them then immediately, you know, it would have been a huge struggle. It was a huge struggle because I didn't have the money to have the parts available that I do today. At the moment, it's still a struggle because I don't have the money to buy all the parts I need to finish this project. It is still a struggle because I am now no longer employed to a business earning money. I am now someone at home who's on the benefits, who is now trying to build a business, trying to build a reputation, so then I can use my skills and abilities that I've been practicing for years and years and years to try and provide a service to which can help me achieve goals in my life. But I also want to stress the fact that I'm not just doing this for myself. I'm doing this for people who have cars like mine, who love their cars, who care about their cars, but cannot source the parts. I've now got in touch with suppliers, I've now got contacts. If you need parts, I can help you. I've got Pajeros at my fingertips that I've been working on. I have the Triton I've been working on. I have 3 cars on this premises that I can support the platform because I have the parts behind me. I have 3 motors to suit 2 of those cars. I have 1 car which I promise you I know the problems all too well with, that if you need a viable solution to a consistent problem, there's a possibility that I can help you. There is also, you know, the fact that you can buy parts and they can be really crappy quality. There's the possibility that you can go and find parts and they be the wrong part. From my experience, I've learnt now that there is, the wreckers. Sure, they have parts available right here, right now. Some of those parts are really too expensive compared to brand new, genuine parts that you can still obtain. And in some cases, it's better to buy something brand new, because in my case and scenario, I have a cover here, which if I bought it from the wreckers, it's going to be old, it's going to be, bent, buckled from all that heat, causing issues. It's going to look bad, it's potentially going to have cracks in it, it's potentially going to break. And it's also potential that the wrecker is not going to sell you the cover because they are selling complete, assembled engines. Instead of selling bits and pieces of it, they'll sell the whole thing. Personally, I'm happy with 4D56 platform. The reason I'm happy with it is because the longevity of this can keep going. This can run when others will no longer run, because this platform here, if you have the right fuel, you look after it, you service it, in a time where all the power could get knocked out, in a time when all the ICs in the world are disabled, it sets us back a couple decades that we have to now rebuild and get to the front again. These things will still be viable in those times when we're no longer allowed to have these on the road anymore. And in those times, we're going to need these the most to transport goods, to make sure that the government can get what they need to hospitals, to make sure that they can move things when things fail, to get us moving again. This is a technology that will be viable in those times. I'm not saying that newer cars are crap, I'm saying they do have a risk that scientists have been predicting within potentially 100 years. A very powerful EM could knock out all ICs in the world, whether they're active or inactive. It will disable them. All the equipment to make those ICs will also be disabled. They'll be starting at square one again. They'll have to use the oldest technology to bring themselves back into modern day era technology, because there is going to be nowhere to produce the modern day parts. All your hard drives on your computers will be wiped out. Now, there is also the possibility that I'm over-exaggerating, it probably won't happen, but it's something that I've considered. It is only a possibility. I'm not saying it will happen, I'm saying it's a possibility that it could happen. And it's one of those things I want to prepare for. And I feel like it's been fun to prepare for, because the day that if it actually happens, I will actually have been prepared for it. This is my backup plan for if that occasion occurs. Otherwise, buy yourself a brand new car. Brand new cars, there's nothing wrong with them except for when they get too old, the support for it is going down. The difficulty to repair them is enormous. I don't hate new cars. I actually like them. I wanted to buy an MQ Triton, but there was never going to be a possibility that I could ever afford one unless I could make a successful, sustainable business. Thus far, I'm working on this one because there are people who want things that they can't source, but I'm able to put my hand up and say, I've done it. I can source these parts. I can get what you need. And in some cases where you can't source parts, I have the contacts and I have the systems in place that I can say, hey, you need a part? Give me the old one. I'll go and get one for you. Because there is processes, there is costs, and in some cases earning money in one way, you'll lose money in another, but be able to help others in that way as well. So there's a lot of, benefiting the community, benefiting yourself potentially, and creating an environment to which supports everyone. So not only am I going to be supporting you guys, you're going to also be supporting me for my effort, for my time, for my passion with this problem, this risk. My passion for making sure I get the job done right. For the passion to go and source the things that no one else can seemingly source. Because the manufacturer doesn't take these parts and store them and put them in stock anymore. But they're manufacturers who make these parts with the OEM equipment, who were the original manufacturers for the manufacturing supplier. Mitsubishi say they don't make the parts anymore, they're out of production. But they didn't make all the parts. Other companies have the equipment that made those parts. They were outsourced for those jobs, those tasks, and made those parts for Mitsubishi. And because they have the OEM equipment, they have the OEM tags, they have the OEM stickers. But they're not going to go directly to the market and say we're selling these, because they're got contacts with Mitsubishi, Toyota, Holden, which is no longer around, Ford, and other companies making those parts for them. So if you do need parts, I do have resources. I can source those parts. I can get them. I want to take precautions with my business and my operations. I want to know what your demands are for what you need, and then I want to see how I can benefit both of us at the same time and protect myself as well as looking after you, because there are risks I'm going to be taking but you're not going to see. Okay? There is a lot of things to consider. There's time variables to consider. There is financial variables to consider. There is the fact that there's wreckers who can't find parts for you. Now they have a solution. If they can't find the part in their yard, contact me and I'll see what I can do to find those parts. Because they're not going to be paying me as an employee to go and find the parts. They're going to be paying me as essentially a contractor, as another business to locate, find those parts, get them in, because they are purchasing those parts. The process for me and wreckers potentially, and potentially even workshops in the future, will be essentially, you contact me. I'll give you the time frames for how long it will take to get a part here. I'll tell you the price it's going to cost for this part, and I'll tell you how much I want in exchange for obtaining this part and then getting it to you. And I'll know all of the cost variables I need to know in order to buy the parts, to get them here, to then get them to you, but also the costs to get them to you. Okay? And then when the part does get to them, I'll have already been paid, and I'll have already had trust and built relationships that if I mess up, I'm going to be the one that takes accountability and responsibility for my misactions, my mistakes. Thank you all for watching. My name is Michael Mechanical. Please hit the subscribe button, the like button. It shows a lot of support for the channel, what I can achieve, what I can find, what I can do. And if you need parts, feel free to write in the comments below what you're looking for, and I will see if I can find any parts. It doesn't mean that I know the supplier has parts, because I won't know until I've actually ordered something, but if you want to commit to a purchase, I will try to find ways to make that happen in the safest way possible for me, for you, for everyone, so we can all benefit from the scenario. Thank you all for watching. Michael Mechanical out.